Okay, last but not least, we have number 5, and this is all about systematizing your content. So what I mean by that is you want to make sure that social media doesn't become overwhelming for you. So having a system for how you produce your content is going to be really important. Whatever you can do, whether it's you can commit right now to posting 1 time a week on Instagram and make Instagram your platform, that's absolutely fantastic. Make sure that you have a system in terms of blocking off time once a week, right? So blocking off time to create that post once a week, blocking off time to actually schedule that post, and then blocking off time to actually engage with your community on Instagram and everything. So if you have 1 post a week, maybe you can also do 10 minutes a week or 10 minutes a day of Instagram engagement. It doesn't have to be a ton of time. My favorite schedulers in terms of things are, first of all, Facebook Creator Studio. Facebook and Instagram have definitely upped their game in terms of how easy they make it to schedule posts, to create some posts and some content natively in their scheduler. So I would suggest really learning that first and just using Facebook Creator Studio at first. And then Smarter Queue is another one that we use with some of our clients. The great thing about Smarter Queue is that you can basically use and repurpose the same content. So you can put a ton of like what's called evergreen posts. So those are posts that you can reuse over and over and over again. You can put a bunch of them into Smarter Queue and be like, basically like, show this post every 90 days, right? Or show this post once a week, every Tuesday, if it's like the same post for a Facebook group or something like that. And then Planoly is what I love and use specifically for Instagram. It's a visual scheduler. So I love the fact that like you can see how everything's going to lay out in your Instagram feed via Planoly. So those are the 3 that I definitely and highly suggest. Okay, moving on to final thoughts. If you have any questions, don't forget to post them in the chat. I have like 5, 6 more slides, and then I'm going to head to questions. So final thoughts. Number 1, I want you to master 1 platform at a time. Remember, I said just a little bit ago that we don't want to overwhelm ourselves with social media. And what I see sometimes is that people go gangbusters on, a whole bunch of different platforms all at once, and then they burn out on it. So learning 1 platform at a time and figuring out where it is you actually like to hang out. So if you really love to hang out on Instagram for your own purposes, then you'll probably love it also for business because you'll already be there, right? Same thing with like if you love hanging out on TikTok or something, maybe that's your place of choice to kind of get started. And then once you have done that for a while, and by a while, I mean a quarter to 2 quarters, so 3 to 6 months, once you've done that for a while and feel really confident and comfortable on that, then you can add another platform. But don't do everything all at once because you won't have the space or capacity to really become a master of it and really take the time that it needs in order to create a really great strategy for it. Number 2, create a content strategy and schedule that works for you. So what I mean by that is if you don't have time to post 5 days a week, you don't have to post 5 days a week. You definitely don't have to post multiple times a day. Really think in terms of what can I commit to? And I think the consistency in it is way more important than saying, okay, I'm going to post 7 times a week and then kind of being mad at yourself every single week when you don't have time to post 7 times a week. So if that's 1 time a week to start, and then in a quarter, in 3 months, you want to start with 3 times a week. And then 3 months later, maybe 5 times a week, or maybe you get some support in terms of a virtual assistant or social media manager to kind of help you once you're posting, multiple times. But I think it's less about the posting and more, once again, about the consistency. And then even more importantly, about the consistency in terms of engagement as well. Number 3, final thought is set aside time for engagement daily. I cannot stress this enough. When I am not setting aside time to respond to posts, to respond to DMs, to go and look at other people's content and react to their content, I see that my posts get fewer likes and fewer engagement. And that's because the algorithm is like, oh, you're not showing up for other people. We're not going to show your stuff to other people. So it's really, really important that you create that engagement and that you engage daily if at all possible. And it doesn't have to be a ton of time. Like I said, I set aside about 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon for consistency. But even if you just have 10, 15 minutes a day, that's totally fine. And number 4, learn one new strategy at a time. So there is something new coming out. Like, I feel like it's every other week, and sometimes it overwhelms me. And I do have, a social media manager that helps me and creates the content at this point, but I do my engagement myself and a lot of the stories myself and everything. And so don't try to do Instagram stories and reels and carousels and posts all at the same time. You will once again overwhelm yourself and burn out. So really think in terms of, how do you enjoy showing up? What do you want to do? What do you want to do more of? What do you enjoy doing? And once you think about those things, then once you get that strategy down, then you can add an additional strategy and learn something else. But until you've done that, stick to one strategy at a time. It's totally okay. Effective social media strategy takes time. So this is one of the things that I hear a lot from the newer virtual assistants that I coach. One of the things that I do at the end of my program is that they get this whole 90-day accelerator workbook where they're supposed to do some action steps each day, a lot of them around social media. Excuse me one second, I'm going to take a sip. A lot around social media. And so they'll come to me like 2 weeks later and be like, it's not working. I don't have 1 million followers. And I'm like, you expected to have all of these followers, and all of this engagement and everything when, like, you're the new kid on the block. You just showed up 2 weeks ago. I really think about it being a snowball, right? Anytime we're starting something new, I think in terms of a snowball. So snowballs start really, really small most of the time. And then think in terms of rolling that snowball down a huge ski hill. So if you start rolling it down the hill, it's going to build up speed and pick up momentum and everything as it's going. And eventually it becomes this giant boulder of a snowball, but it doesn't start there, right? And it takes a while, and it takes the consistency in doing the right things in order for it to continue to roll. So really think of that as in terms of social media strategies and engagement too. And I know that there are so many people who have bought into my higher level programs that I had no idea they were even following me or liking my content or any of those things, because they never shared it, they never liked it, they never responded. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I've been following you for like 2 years now. And I was just like ready to buy one day. I'm like, great, that's awesome. But that shows that the consistency of what I've been doing for 2, 3, or 4 years now is now paying off, right? So that's super important to remember. And then lastly, do what feels fun. It's supposed to be fun. If it doesn't feel fun, you're not going to want to do it, and you're not going to be consistent. And so all of this doesn't make any sense anyway. So that's why, like, I love video, right? And I love showing up on video. That's why I do things like reels and funny dances and everything. And I love telling stories and sharing about the things that I'm doing outside of just my business, the things that I'm doing in my life. If that's you, then show up authentically and be you. Don't feel like you have to be put into this box, because the people that are your ideal clients are the people that are going to want to see and appreciate you as you. And they will cherish that, and you will get such a great niched community in terms of when you show up as yourself versus feeling like you have to show up as this like perfectly curated version of yourself.